Welcome back to Baron's New Vegas Heavy Energy Weapon Guide, and today we are filling out the last of the plasma weapons and are finally covering the weapon you have heard so many times, the industrial grade plasma caster, the Winchester P94. One of the few domestically produced energy weapons, the P94 Plasma caster was pushed into service against robotic enemies and armored vehicles that the Chinese used, most likely. There was probably a use for this weapon against potentially power-armored resistance as well, and either way this weapon is the original, and for some it's the greatest version of the plasma rifle. It does have its downsides though, as it is very bulky and big, requiring more complete training to operate and definitely more strength. It was nearly exclusively used by the Enclave and the Brotherhood, with some super mutants of the first generation being smart enough to use it, but they mostly preferred the ballistic big guns. Even after it was slammed by Colonel Moretti in a famous interview in Energy Weapons Today, the Winchester P94 still saw use in its original industrial use and in battle. There is some rumor that there is a definite militarized version of the P94 that was the stopgap between the urban plasma rifle and the P94. This rifle stock P94 was only seen in the Midwest and were of great use against the robots of the Calculator. These weapons have also made it into the classic Fallout weapons mod and are a great classic addition if you want some spice in your Fallout New Vegas experience. However, in base New Vegas, we have the P94 in its giant, bulky form as a heavy weapon. It can be assumed that in industrial uses, the plasma caster did not fire individual bolts, but fired a short-range beam, perhaps with smaller forward fins. This would allow it to do incredible feats of cutting and welding, since the lack of advanced computers does prevent CNC-style milling and cutting. As it is now, the P94 is a powerhouse, using the same microfusion cells it did back in 2161 when the Vault Dweller was sent out on its quest. They were even converted on the East Coast, with the older versions of the tool, assumingly the newer models, got converted and taken to the front or stockpiled by the Enclave. Suffice to say, it is an old weapon, and only the DKS-501 comes to mind with weapons surviving so long. For those wondering, and I can't say I know, what the P94 stands for, I can only offer that the P stands for plasma, but typical Winchester naming convention states that it would be the Model 94, which also does not indicate the year, as some of the earlier models did. Maybe it is the models that have at least made it to a certain way to production that get a number, but it's unknown. As of now, the Winchester Repeating Arms Company is split up into multiple parts, the ammunition being made by the Olin Corporation, and its guns being made by F.N. Herstall and Browning. Them having a return sometime in the Fallout timeline is possible, but as of right now they are working on no known industrial plasma casters, nor any plasma devices in general. Now, like the Gatling laser, the plasma caster occupies an in-game role. It is capable of dealing an amazing amount of damage and has a real heavy weight to it. While it doesn't completely replace the urban plasma rifle, it does offer a great alternative. Now, the damage is significant with this jolly green giant. At 65 damage per shot, it lays down a lot of hurt, and with a fire rate of 3 shots per second, it has a considerable DPS of 195 for 10 shots. Luckily, those shots only cost 1 microfusion cell per shot, and so are nearly 3 times more efficient than the urban plasma rifle. It does not count as an automatic either, and with a reload of 3 seconds, its sustained DPS is 102.6. And sadly, it is most likely that you will have to reload in a fight given the subpar spread of 0.7 and the inability to really aim with the classic heavy weapon zoom in we have come to expect. Now in VATS, its performance is quite good, at 25 AP for 1 shot, giving it efficiency of 2.6 damage per AP, which is very nice for a single shot weapon. The crit power is fine at the standard ×1 multiplier for crits and doing double damage. This makes it potent, but unreliable for most builds, but for most people the base damage is already able to achieve a quick time to kill. Just like the Gatling laser, the P94 Plasma caster is a big, heavy energy weapon, with a lot of training required. With a strength requirement of 8 and an energy weapons requirement of 100, it is no secret that this is a high damage per shot alternative to the Gatling laser. But at a weight of 20, it is very heavy, beating out every other energy weapon in the base game, but with heavyweight it can be managed easily. Now just like the Gatling laser as well, the plasma caster is expensive at 7,000 caps for a fully repaired one, but with only one mod it is definitely not needed if you are careful. The first and only mod is the Plasma Caster High Speed Electrode, which increases the fire rate by 25% to 3.75 shots per second. This costs 2,500 caps, which is not bad at all, but the limited ammo capacity of the weapon limit the use of this mod. It does add an electrical box on top of the plasma caster and makes it more like the Smitty upgrade in Fallout 1 where you get a turbo plasma rifle. This increases the burst DPS to 243.8, making it able to kill a Deathclaw in slightly more than a second for most days. For a total of 9,500 caps, you can fully upgrade your weapon and be much cheaper than some other modded weapons. Now, for this price you can get a weapon with 395 standard shots, 466 bulk, 262 overcharge, and 155 max charge shots, which is actually slightly more than the urban plasma rifle, making it a better purchase even if it is expensive to repair without repair kits. And now we get to that ammo that it fires, and it's microfusion cells. The last time we'll talk about it for a good while, and it should be remembered that these are the most expensive ones. For the standard ammo, it costs 3 caps per round and gives you that -2 DT you expect from energy ammo. Overcharge ammo costs 5 caps per round and can be made for 3 standard for 2 overcharge, a way to make money if only a little bit. The overcharge microfusion cell does 25% more damage and reduces enemy DT by 5, but shortens the gun's life by 50%. Now the max charge ammo costs 5 caps per round, and it takes 5 standard for 2 max charge ammo. This increases damage by 50% and reduces enemy DT by 10, which makes it quite capable of killing all in-game enemies with the plasma caster. This does reduce the life of the plasma caster by 2.5 times, making it only for those big fights and enemies. Now, bulk ammo is the last type, costing 100 caps for a box of 100, and it is the cheapest way to feed your caster. But it is the usual 85% damage and wear rate. This is a good choice given the high damage of the plasma caster and the low durability. Even though you can get a lot of ammo from the Legion, as I've said many times before, the ammo you get from the Brotherhood chest is more than enough to keep this baby fed. The plasma caster is sadly very rare, more rare than even the Gatling laser. Gloria Van Graff has one on display and it can be sold by her and really only her. Orion Morneau on the Enclave can carry one in the last battle for Hoover Dam, and that's it. The one in Freeside is easy to steal, and if you get that, it is really all you need. Now the DLC can offer it up, but with Freeside so accessible to seasoned players, it is hard to believe that that will be the first time you have one. Now there isn't much to be said about the plasma caster other than it is a great weapon with good history. It is the most efficient plasma per cell, and it has such cool looks. It's more refined than the urban plasma rifle and definitely looks more futuristic. It has the power of the green sun behind it and it can melt all of your foes into goo. Use it well, Courier.